Today, we are diving into a really powerful and, let's be honest, pretty controversial idea that behind the government you see every day, there's another, secret one that's really pulling the strings. We're talking about the deep state. But is it a real threat to democracy? Or is it the ultimate political conspiracy theory? Let's get into it.
It really all boils down to this one simple question. When you see a huge event on the news, a sudden revolution, a market crash, a political scandal, is that just random chaos, the world being unpredictable? Or could it be part of a carefully orchestrated plan, guided by some kind of invisible hand?
And this isn't just some abstract thought experiment. I mean, just look at what's been happening recently in South Asia. You've got mass protests in Bangladesh that forced the prime minister to literally flee the country. In Nepal, the government just suddenly collapsed. Now, people who believe in the deep state theory, they look at these events and they ask, is that all just a coincidence, or are these dots connected by some hidden agenda?
To even begin to understand the theory that connects all these dots, we have to talk about the main character in this story, the so-called deep state. It's the name that's been given to this powerful, hidden network that some believe is the true puppet master on the world stage. So what is it, exactly? Well, the theory goes like this. Within the official elected U.S. government that we all know, there's another parallel government operating in the shadows. This deep state is supposedly made up of unelected intelligence and military officials who wield more actual power than even the president.
And if the theory is true, its influence is absolutely staggering. We're not just talking about meddling in politics. We're talking about controlling the global flow of weapons and oil. We're talking about the power to shape what you think through social media algorithms. And how's it all paid for? Well, through a secret black budget. Billions of dollars, completely off the books, with zero public oversight or accountability.
So you might be asking, where did this wild idea even come from? It's not new, not by a long shot. To really get it, we have to rewind the clock and investigate a few historical cold cases, some really pivotal events from the Cold War that formed the bedrock of this whole deep state narrative.
Okay, so the pattern that theorists always point to really gets its start right here, in the thick of the Cold War. Three key events always come up. The CIA-backed overthrow of Iran's government in '53, a very similar coup in Guatemala the next year, and of course, the failed Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba in '61. To believers, this isn't just a series of coincidences, it's a playbook.
So let's break down how this playbook allegedly worked, using Iran in 1953 as the prime example. Step 1. You have a target. A popular prime minister nationalizes the country's oil, which really hurts Western business interests. Step 2. The tactic. The CIA allegedly starts funding protests and running propaganda in the media to turn people against him. And Step 3. The result. The government is toppled, and a US-backed monarch is put in his place.
Now here's the kicker. This isn't just speculation anymore. For decades, this was all officially denied. But then, in 2013, the CIA itself declassified its own internal documents. And right there in black and white it says, the coup was, and I quote, carried out under CIA direction as an active U.S. foreign policy. This official admission is pretty much the bedrock evidence for anyone who argues that a secret government was actively and illegally toppling other nations.
So as little bits of evidence about these covert operations started to leak out, journalists began connecting the dots. And they started asking a really disturbing question. If the government we elected isn't making these calls, then who is? And that question gave birth to a powerful new name for this hidden force.
A huge moment came in 1964. Two journalists, David Wise and Thomas Ross, published a book that blew the lid off this idea. They called it The Invisible Government. And it was really the first time this concept of a secret power structure, operating right alongside the public one, was laid out for everyone to see.
The best way to think about their idea is like an iceberg. Above the water, you have the visible government we all know, right? The elections, the public debates, the laws being passed. But the theory claims the real power, the bulk of the iceberg, is hidden beneath the surface. It's an invisible government of unelected spies and generals who operate in total secrecy, accountable to absolutely no one. Which brings us to the crucial question. Was this all just a Cold War thing? Or has that same playbook simply been updated for the 21st century? Let's take a look at how this alleged pattern might be playing out today.
This is where theorists make a really fascinating comparison. They argue the tactics have just evolved with the times. So back in the Cold War, the goal was to counter the Soviets, and the method was to fund local agents and media outlets.
In the modern era, say the 2014 Ukrainian Revolution, they claim the goal is now to counter Russia, and the method is to fund student groups and NGOs. The methods change, but according to the theory, the outcome is exactly the same: install a government that's friendly to the US. And this brings us right back to where we started. Believers in the deep state see this exact same playbook at work in the recent chaos in Bangladesh and Nepal. For them, this isn't about local politics. It's a strategic chess move by the US to push back against growing Chinese influence in that part of the world.
So this all leads us to the central debate today. Is the deep state a genuine, real threat to democracy all over the world, or is it a really convenient myth that gets used for political gain?
And look, this is not just some academic debate on the internet. In India, for instance, the former vice president, Jagdeep Dhankar, went on record warning that this deep state poses a direct threat to its nation's sovereignty. It just goes to show you how seriously this idea is taken at the very highest levels, whether you see it as a genuine threat or a powerful political weapon.
So, you're left with two completely different versions of reality. On one hand, the deep state is a real and present danger, a secret network actively working to undermine democracy for its own ends. But on the other hand, it's a convenient myth, the perfect excuse for leaders to blame their own failures on some shadowy enemy, and a way to shut down any real, grassroots protest by labeling it as foreign interference.
And that's really the ultimate question we want to leave you with. After looking at the historical evidence and the modern claims, where do you land? Is there truly a hidden hand shaping our world, or have we just found the ultimate political excuse for when things go wrong? The answer, it seems, is still hidden in the shadows.